Here we go. There he is. What's up, man?
What's up? How you doing?
Good, good. How you doing? Thanks for jumping on.
Of course, of course. Sorry, it was a little late. Actually, was on a conference call. I had a bunch of NBA players asking Mark Cuban a bunch of questions, and uh, couldn't miss out on that opportunity, right?
Oh, sure. How was that?
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome, and I think we're gonna uh, do it some more in the future. Just be able to, pick his brain and ask him questions, and when it comes to business and this environment, and it's always good to kind of hear what billionaires are doing, right? Like,
Absolutely.
just want to always learn, and I think I'm on a conference call about 3 times a week, maybe 4 times a week, just learning, right? Just whether it be about real estate, about anything, the stock market, especially right now with crazy stuff, or with basically very successful people. Just trying to, like I said, just trying to do whatever I can to just to continue to learn.
Yeah, that's so important, man, especially for everyone right now, just on lockdown. This is just such a great time where we can really dive in and learn things. And, I think it's easy for us to just kind of be in limbo and waiting for things to open up and cool down. But like now is a great time. There's so many opportunities out there. Someone told me recently that in every crisis there's an opportunity, and for
Oh yeah.
us, there's so much we can be doing even now, and so just trying to make the most of it.
So I've
Um,
heard this. I've heard this multiple times in the last week, and I think it's me being a man of God like I am. I feel like it's something that God's trying to communicate to me and to a lot of us is if we come out of this the same way we went into it, um, it's it's not going to be good. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like it's a
right,
failure, right? Like you might as well get something out of this, right? You might as
yeah,
well get better, learn something, learn a new craft, or just get better at the craft that you're already in. So
hmm
I think that if you're the same coming out of this, then it's definitely a failed time.
right, right. How's you and the family doing right now? You have 4 kids now, right?
Four, yes. It's
Man, how's
it's pretty crazy. But it's fun. It's keeping us busy. Really a lot of people are talking about, how bored they are. Well, I'm sure if you're single and you don't have a wife and kids, I can't imagine this time how crazy it would be. But I have 4 young kids, that are keeping us busy. It is an absolute um, uh, you know, crazy time at my house, but it's fun. And we're having fun every single day.
That's cool, man. So I'm sure that's obviously a lot different to normally you're traveling on the road. How's that for you normally, traveling so much, being away from family? Do you get to spend, a lot of time with them? Like how much do you get to see them during the season?
During the season, I mean, it's not as much as I would like, but it's still more than I would say your average Joe, right? Like
Mm,
if I worked a 9 to 5, um, I would be, you know, home and be able to see my kids a few hours, maybe 2, 3 hours a day,
right.
maybe. You know, um, when I'm home now, I'm home. Like I have to go to practice or whatever it may be. But other than that, it is absolutely, time to be with family,
Right.
and I'm real big in it, right? Like when I'm home, like I don't really do a lot of business and stuff like that. This is a whole different environment right now. So like now with this new normal, I'm dedicating certain times of the day to like getting business calls done and stuff like that, and then kind of trying to be the rest of the days to, the rest of the time for my kids and for my wife and stuff like that. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's cool, man. I remember because I played overseas for 7 years, and just moving out here to Mass with a different job now. My wife is like, Josh, I'm used to you being at home, because we practice twice a day, and I was at home so much. She was like, I got to get used to this, because I'm out, in the
right.
office getting work done, and it just looks different. And the family gets used to you being at home, man. It's different. But dude, I don't know if Dane told you this, but I was playing overseas in Hungary. This must have been like 4 years ago, and I connected with Dan. He was playing in Austria at the time.
Hmm.
I forget. I think our wives had connected together through like a Facebook page, and overseas, everyone's just trying to get connected and stay in touch because it's a grind. You're just trying to find people that speak English out there.
Yeah, yeah,
So, you know,
exactly,
he and I
exactly.
connected, and we found that they're just an amazing family, and so we used to hang out with them a lot. In Hungary, we lived like 20 minutes from the Austrian border, and so we would go over there and hang out with them a lot. But that's when I think he kind of connected me with you, and I found out that you were a believer, and so I've just been really encouraged by you, man, over the years. Especially when I was playing. For me as a hooper overseas, like you're always trying to see other people that are living for the Lord, and you're trying to connect with them. And so um, you always encouraged me, man, when I was overseas, and just seeing the way you lived out your faith. Because it can feel pretty lonely, an athlete that's a believer. Sometimes, if you're in a team that doesn't have other believers, it's like you feel like you're in it yourself.
Hmm.
So, it's been encouraging. We've been in like these, Bible studies and stuff on the Bible app together, and just want to, thank you for encouraging me, man. So appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me. First of all, I appreciate that. That's it's always encouraging to hear other people that get encouraged by, I guess, the things that I do or whatever the things I represent. But for me, it's always really been about. Um, I'm not too big on I don't just go out and just talk about it a lot. I just try to live it, right?
Hmm.
Which I think is way more of a testimony and way more powerful of a tool
Mm.
than just talking about it, right? I feel like there's a lot of people who will talk about it and then they don't necessarily do the right things and don't live the right way, and then it becomes a detriment to what we're trying to accomplish, right? Which is, brings many people as close to God as possible, right? Because that's the whole point, of life, really. When it comes down to it, is growing the kingdom of God. So, for me personally, um, it's just been about, all right, well, you know, I don't really like do much but just be myself, right? When it comes to social media and all the forward, like front facing things that people see. But, I just always know, like, I don't have a million followers like some of these people do. And that's totally fine. I don't really care. That's not what I live for, right? I don't live for followers on Instagram or whatever. But I know whatever platform I have, I'm going to use it for God, right?
Mm.
And so, and represent the right things, and always represent doing the right things. And so, when I'm around people, and it's pretty awesome. Like, just to give you an example, I'm an entrepreneur, right? Like, I think I already told you that is, I'm always doing something and investing in something, whatever. And anyways, one of the most recent things I've invested in and been a part of is called Players TV, which is a new media company. And we were having an internal conversation the other day, and the CEO, she was like, honestly, At, like you, you make me a better person because you help me, you know, you've helped me realize like how bad of a mouth I have. I was like, what do you mean? Like, but this is not the first time I've heard this.
Right,
I've never ever judged anybody,
right.
said anything to anybody about, watch your mouth or
Mm.
whatever. Because you know what, like that's not me. I'm not about to just get on to you about it or whatever. But it's like it's amazing that like just representing the right things, doing the right things
Hmm.
can literally change people's perspective and also change their own perspective about themselves. Like it wasn't me saying, "Hey, you curse too much," or "You do this." She was like, "You have made me be more aware of myself and my language and everything else." And she's like, I want to, I don't want to curse as much. I want to watch my mouth and everything else. And it's like that to me is all about God using
Mm.
me. You know what I'm saying? Like God using me
Yeah.
to affect people in a positive way, and without even saying a word. And it's you know, there's countless amount of different examples like that, but it's just like, man, just it's amazing how much more powerful your testimony is whenever you're living the right way than it
Right.
is just if you're saying something the right way.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I love that. I recently read the Chick-fil-A book. I don't know if you read that. It's like a great leadership book. And when you think about the Chick-fil-A company, it doesn't, it's not in their name that they're Christians, but it's in the core of who they are. Like everyone knows the way they do business, the way they treat people, that they are a Christian company and they honor God. And I just love that. And their book is just so real and just talking about how they extend grace and treat their employees and the way they treat people. Everyone knows what they're about. And I think as athletes for us, being in the locker room, that's not always easy, actually, I remember when Kristen Ledlow came here, she was talking about how it's important for us to be the thermostat, not the thermometer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thermostat sets the temperature in the room, and that dictates, the temperature. But the thermometer, it's like we're being impacted by what's around us. And as athletes, it's not easy if we're in the locker room and everyone's acting in some type of way, or talking and cussing and doing certain things. It's easy for us just to kind of blend in or be really impacted by that, you know, um, or they might think that we have to be the best player on the team, or a veteran guy to really have an impact in that way. But it's like, look, if we really stand for what we believe in as believers, and we have an opportunity to change the culture. And like you said, people notice the way you live out your faith. People see that. People are always watching you, and that's what I love about sport is like they see you every day, the way you show up to work, the way you show up to practice, the games, the way you approach your business. People see you, and they see how you respond to when you get a bad call or you have a bad game. They're looking at you, how you're going to respond. And so that's one of the things I always loved about sport. People see the best and the worst in you, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't just get the cookie cutter, version of you. They see it all. And
Yep.
I always love that because, that just the ministry opportunity in that is just so powerful.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's a platform, and you know, playing overseas or playing in the NBA or playing in college, even playing in high school, sport gives you a platform. You know, if you're in the higher the level you go, the bigger the platform and the more, you know, lights are on that platform. So, um, you know, in order for me to make it to the NBA, yeah, lots of hard work. Yes, it helps that I was blessed with the fact that I'm 6'8" and have long arms and all that stuff. It's like all that's true, but 1,000%, you know, if you ask people back whenever I was in high school or college or whatever, it's like, do you think this kid has a chance to make it to the NBA? They would say no.
Right.
You know, like, yes, he's 6'8", but there's no way he can make it to the NBA, right?
Right.
Like, just, I know going back now, there's a lot of people who say that they thought, oh, yeah, I always knew that you were going to make, yeah, bull crap. You're lying to yourself. You're lying
Right.
to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, back then, and I don't even think my own mom thought I was going to make the NBA, right? Like, that's how I feel about the whole
Right.
situation. But it was because it was so far fetched. Like, at one point, you know, going into my freshman year, like I couldn't even catch the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like they would, like seriously, like I had horrible hands. Like I couldn't catch the ball, and so that's what I'm saying. Like just thinking back, I'm just like, wow. Like I went from that to the NBA. Not only just getting in the NBA, but staying in it for 12 years. You know?
Right.
Uh,
And that's what I wanted to ask you is like a lot of guys can get to the NBA, but for you, like you've been in the league, what, 12 years now?
mm-hmm.
And so, what's been one thing for you, because you really do such a great job of adding value to the teams that you're on, and playing such a great role. Like what's been the thing for you that's really helped you stick, compared to, because we see a lot of talented guys in the league and they don't stick. And so for you, what's been something that's helped you, have such a solid career?
Um, I would definitely say, obviously having a skill set that translates to every team, every type of system, every type of coach, player, whatever it may be, an adaptable skill set, right? Every
Mm,
team needs more shooting.
mm,
Every team will take a guy who will compete on the defensive end. Every team will take a guy who's willing to take charges, who's willing to dive on loose balls, who's willing to do the things, make the extra pass, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, there's a there's a chemistry aspect that never gets really added into a stat sheet, right?
mm,
But every team, the people who make those decisions, they know, right? The reason why I keep getting signed up is they know. They
right.
know that, you know what? First of all, he's gonna knock down shots. He's gonna play defense. He's gonna make the extra pass. He's gonna do all the little things. And then on top of that, they don't have to worry about me getting in trouble off the court. I'm going to bring value to the locker room. Not only just saying, "Oh, he's not going to get in trouble," but he's actually going to bring value. He's going to
Mm,
add to the locker room. He's going to add to the people in the locker room. He's going to help guys develop as people, right?
mm.
Not just as basketball players. So that to me is what ultimately has continued to help me get jobs. Is that my reputation now is that it's yes, I'm a solid basketball player that will help your team win games. Yes, but there's so much more depth to me and to what I bring to the table than just that, and
Mm.
that's why it's been 12 years plus.
Yeah.
Whereas you see some guys who might average 12, 15 points a game, they only play 3, 4 years, maybe five,
Right.
6, 7, 8, and then all of a sudden they're out. And people are
Right.
like, "How is that? How is Anthony Tolliver, who only averages 6 or 7 points a game for his career, how is he still in the league? But this guy who's averaged 15 a game for his career isn't?"
Mm,
Because there's more to it than just stats, right? And there's things that you can bring value to a team that's more than just scoring points.
mm.
And those are the things that I've really tried to make sure that I brought to the table whenever it came down to it.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough, because it's not the popular way of seeing, getting into the league and staying. It's like, you want to be the go-to guy. You want to be the guy that's, doing everything, carrying the team. But you can do a lot. There's a lot of different ways that you can add value, like you're saying. There's a lot of teams, like every team needs a good defender. I've seen guys get to the league that's just like, they're just great defenders. They'll be solid, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just going to be great, team players on the offensive end. Like they're nothing special, but they're athletes. They got grit, and they can defend. And so, I
Mm-hmm.
think for a lot of kids, like that doesn't get talked about. Kids growing up, I think when kids think about how can you add value to any team you're on, I think that's a real skill set. What
Mm-hmm.
being able to see what the team needs. Like you've jumped around a lot of different teams. So for kids being on a team, whether it's the high school team or whatever, seeing what does the team need most? Does it need a guy that's a defender? Does it need energy guy? Seeing ways to bring value that just gets overlooked so much.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, so if you think about it, any team in on any level, in anywhere in the world, there's a few things that are always going to help you be successful, right? Get on the court is playing defense, right? If you can play defense, almost any coach in the world will say, "Well, this guy can help us," right? Now,
Hmm.
if you're a liability on offense, then that's a problem. But if you're a liability on defense, then unless you're so exceptional offensively, you're probably not going to get on the court.
Right.
So you got to be able to defend, right? So if you can defend and if you can shoot, right, and if you play hard, if you do those three things on any level, you will almost certainly get on the court, unless there's something going on with you and the coach, and the coach said Nike or something,
Right.
right? And or if your team is so stacked that there's just not enough minutes for you to even possibly get on. But it's just like for me, for 12 years in the league, I've had to reprove and reprove myself 12 out of 12 years. I didn't get drafted. I wasn't somebody who was, this big time athlete coming out of high school or college. I've never been that guy, right? I've never been that guy that, somebody just like, oh, we believe in you, we trust in you. No, every year I have to go literally prove to the coach and to the GM and whoever is making decisions that I deserve to be on the court. So I do that by just literally doing those things. I'm going to play defense, multiple positions, right? I'm going to knock down shots, and I'm going to play hard. You know exactly what you're going to get out of me, right? Period. So, and that's how I've been able to stay alive.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you've really perfected that because you've jumped around. You played in 10 different teams?
Yeah, 10 different teams in the NBA. If that's not counting like training camps and stuff.
Yeah,
And that's not counting overseas, and that's not counting D League. That's
right.
10 separate NBA teams I played for, and
You,
so I played 13 years pro
yeah.
total. But I played in Germany for a half season, Turkey for a half season, played for a few D League teams as well. So it's around 16, 17 different jerseys I've put on
Mm.
since I've been a pro.
Yeah, so you've perfected that, man, because when you go to a new team, a new environment, you gotta prove yourself, show how you're gonna add value, and that's not easy to do because when you get to a new team, you gotta show what you can do. You gotta basically got a clean slate. It's like you gotta
Hmm.
prove yourself all over again, and so um,
Every time.
yeah, that's tough. So what about you living out your faith on in the league? Do you guys have chaplains on your team that kind of help you guys during the seasons? And what does that look like for you? Traveling so much, especially you jumping around different teams. Like, is it tough to be in a church community? And how do you kind of keep the faith during the year?
Yeah, well, I mean, for the most part, I mean, every team has a chaplain. So before every game at 60 on the clock, we have chapel. And so that is, a consistency that's nice. That, no matter where you go, Utah, Milwaukee, Miami, wherever you go, 60 on the clock, you can go to chapel, get about 10 to 15 minute little, inspirational word from somebody, usually a local pastor, but sometimes even somebody else. That's very consistent for us, right? So that's 82 times a year for every game, right? Um, then obviously try to get involved with my local church community, but the NBA there really isn't any um, consistency to our schedule, so that's kind of hard to do sometimes, right? It's kind of hard to you know consistently go to church during the
Right.
season. Here at home, here in Texas, we have a church we've been going to for about 5 years. Amazing church. But on the road, it's like, man, it's really tough. So I just try to stay consistent with, my online stuff and with church back home, but also the church wherever I'm at locally. I'll kind of stay in touch there. But then, just surrounding myself with people who are like-minded, right?
Right.
And then also within the team, I've started Bible studies almost every year. I've played in the league since about 2013 ish. So, and it's not something that's like super consistent where it's all we're every week we're meeting because once again the schedules are insane. Um, but each year it's more so like, okay, maybe you know the most I probably ever did in one year was probably like 6 or 7. And then and then going down, some years I only were able to get 2 or 3 in. Um, it's because even when we're on the road, which is when the time I would like to do it is on the road. But even
Mhm.
when we're on the road, some of our road trips, the way they're set up is we'll get to a city, we'll have practice. Well, if we have practice, and right after that we have dinner. Well,
Right.
where we're going to do Bible study in that time, right?
Right.
Like, so just trying to find pockets of time where we can get together and really dive in.
Mm.
It's a science to it. So trying to find it
True.
is tough, but But that's something I've tried to do. And then
But you got to be
also,
intentional with it, because it's easy to say, "Oh, I'm on the road. Our schedule's crazy. I'm just going to skip it." I'm sure it's so easy to do that.
yeah, it's really really easy to just say, yeah, I'll do it later, right? Like
Right.
keep saying that, and all of a sudden the season's over. You're like, oh crap, like we didn't even meet this year,
Right.
like so you have to be super intentional and plan ahead and everything else, and it takes work,
Yeah.
So, but it's just something that I got inspired to do, from one of my teammates actually in Charlotte, and just decided that this is what I need to be doing, not just what
Mm.
just everywhere I go, I just try to bring that extra layer of development and stuff like that, and definitely have seen some of the benefits of that through people, and not necessarily even while I was there, but after I leave, hearing about the impact that my faith had on their faith is just a testament to why God is continuously putting me in these different locker rooms, because I feel like that's kind of my mission, is to be in these different locker rooms and inspire as many guys in this space as possible.
Mm. That's cool, man. Yeah, consistency is key there, man, because there's like I said, if you're if you're having a tough patch in the season or whatever's going on, team chemistry might not be good. I think it's easy, as a player to be focused on yourself, or like, I just got to be focused on, getting my own game right, and it's easy to have that that kind of self focus instead of just, okay, looking at the big picture. How can I be having an impact beyond just basketball? And that
Hmm.
really comes back to just seeing what God has called you to do. God has called you to be where you're at, be impacting people, and just to be shining the light, and supporting people, lifting people up. And
Hmm.
I think that's something that every one of us can take on. Is no matter what we're doing, no matter what where God has us, we can be having that impact on people around us. That really, that's what God's called us to do. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I think, especially now, we're in this crisis. It's easy to kind of be in survival mode where it's like, how can I just, if people are losing jobs, it's just like, I'm just trying to keep afloat. But, when you're keeping that eternal perspective, it's like, look, you know, I got to keep, first and foremost, my walk with God strong. And how can I be encouraging others at the same time? That's
Hmm.
so.
Absolutely.
What about for you right now? Obviously, you've been spending a lot of time with your family, but what are you doing right now to kind of stay in shape? And, I know you've been working out and doing things like that. Like, what's that looking like for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we packed up and came back to Portland, or sorry, back to Texas from Portland, was as soon as school got canceled, we were like, yeah, there's no way we're going back anytime soon, right? So we literally, the next morning, I got on the internet, found a car shipper, got our got my dog shipped, like everything. We literally moved from Portland in like 2 days.
Man,
Like it was insane. Now, not all of our stuff, right? Like, but just our main stuff, and then our dog and our cars and stuff. 2 days just out, like because we knew if this is gonna be a long haul, we'd want to be home. And another reason is because here, I was able to, I have been playing the league a long time and was able to save up a couple pennies. So one of my dreams is always to have my own basketball court. So I have an indoor half court here
mm,
at my house. So it's like the greatest thing ever, right? So that was another reason why I wanted to come home, was because I'm like, hey, I don't know when the NBA is coming back, but when it does, I want to be in shape, right?
right.
And then we also have some weightlifting equipment and stuff like that. So for me, it's like, being here, being home, being in warmer weather, being a little bit further away from one of the epicenters where, it's pretty crazy.
Mm,
So it just all made sense to come here. And there was definitely some worry, because we were coming back to a house and didn't have anything in it, right? As far as food and toilet paper and,
Right.
all this different crazy stuff, right? Stuff you never thought you would think about. But we just took that leap of faith, and man, we got here, and, it's obviously worked out for us great.
Mm. Yeah. What would your piece of advice be to kids that, are really on lockdown, don't have access to any courts or anything like that? What should they be working on, and how can they still be getting better like while they're at home?
Well, you know, you don't need equipment to stay in shape, right? You can stay in shape without anything. You can do body weight workouts and stuff like that. Are they the funnest? No, they suck actually. I don't like them at all. Or if you have access to some a little bit of money and maybe 50, $100 or something like that, I would invest in resistance bands,
Hmm.
and just have them at your house and be able to. You can do so many exercises with resistance bands, burnouts and different stuff like that are just absolutely killer. From a weightlifting and strength standpoint. But hey, if you have running shoes and it's decently nice outside, you can go run, right? You can
Right.
go do some sprints in your yard. You can go on the street and run a mile or two. If you want to stay in shape. And then also, honestly, the biggest thing right now, you have time to eat healthy, right? Now, do you have resources? That's different, right? Some people don't have resources to eat healthy. That's different. So you can't. But it's a lot harder to eat healthy whenever you don't have resources. But now we have time, right? There's no excuse of you, oh man, I'm running around, I'm doing this, I got to grab this McDonald's because I only have 2 minutes to get over here.
Right.
No, you ain't got nowhere to go.
No
you might have
excuse.
some you might have some phone calls, right, and maybe some webinars. Okay, cool. But guess what? Like once some phone calls and webinars slow down, you're at your house, so you can eat well. You can eat healthy, right? I've been doing a lot of fasting, not all the way fasting, but more so, intermittent fasting, right? So not eating till 10 a.m. or 12 p.m. or 1, right? Like not till lunchtime type thing. And that's a part of the reason why I'm staying in shape. I've actually lost 12 pounds or 10 pounds. Lost 10 pounds since I've been in Corona, since this whole thing's happened, right? Well, it's because I just got really intentional about what I'm eating, how much I'm eating, when I'm eating, and just kind of changing my habits, right? So, um, after
That's
this is
something.
over,
That's
after
something
this is over
that.
with, I plan on being in better shape than I was even going into it, type thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you have that perspective, just finding a way, because there is a way that you can better yourself. And no, I don't hear anyone talking about nutrition right now. Everyone's like
Right?
talking about everything else, but nutrition is something that you can really lock in. So, um,
Habits.
right,
Build those
building those
habits right
habits.
now. Like the habits that you want to have moving forward in life, build them right now.
Right,
If you've never been a guy that's woken up and you said, "Oh man, I always wanted to do a devotional, but I've never had the time to
right,
do it." Well, you got time right now, right? You can do it, right? If you've been the guy that, oh man, I feel like I need to stretch every night. Well, you got time to do it. Like it's just there's no excuse now, right? There's really not too many excuses for you not to what we talked about earlier is not to better yourself, not to figure out things that you felt like you've always lacked or whatever it may be. You have time to better yourself in so many different ways because this whole thing has slowed our entire life down.
hmm
So now, all right, well, once it speeds back up, are you going to have good habits coming out of this or are you going to have worse habits? It's just up to you to make those decisions.
Talk to us about Active Faith, man, because I've been repping that brand for years now, and so much good come out of it. I think Dane put me on it actually.
Yep.
Um, but talk to me about how you got involved with that, and it's been really cool to see the success of that over the years, really blow up, the impact that's had.
Yeah, I mean, Active Faith is one of my babies. It's definitely the one of my earliest investments. I started in real estate first, but as far as like a startup slash like young type company or whatever, it was I believe it might have been my first investment ever, outside of real estate. So, um, you know, my teammate from the D League, one of my teammates from the D League is who started Active Faith. His name is Lanny Smith. And, he told me about the idea. Shoot, that would have been 8, 9 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. He told me about the idea, and I just loved it, fell in love with the idea, and just like, hey, just, you know, hit me up whenever, you get your business plan together and you need an investor. So he did. And I put in that seed money to help it go. And, um, you know, along the ways, obviously, it's still around. We're still kicking, still trying to find ways to combat some of the challenges of being a faith-based company, especially when you're talking about clothing and material things that you want to sell. You want to sell that to a lot of different people, a lot of different places, but it's hard to it's hard to navigate in some areas, obviously, whenever you're faith-based. So, we're just continuing to figure out ways to be creative and continue to give back. Just recently, Lanny, he decided that, wanted to do something that, to continue to give back. Right. And so, without, thinking about, oh, the business can make money. No, it's about how can we use this platform we have. Once again, not this huge, ginormous platform, Nike, right? But we have our own platform, right?
Right.
So Active Faith purchased masks, some N95 masks to give to workers, which is great. But then he decided, after some consulting with me, and I told him, hey, ask the people, ask Active Faith family, what should we do? And so, because he had these like uh, like not designer masks, but like all black masks, but like with the Active faith over fear,
Right.
like
Yeah.
and stitched in it. He's like, I don't know if we should sell these or not. He said, of course, if we sell them, we'll just give all the money back to the cause. But there's so many negative people out here that, oh, you're trying to make money, off of the backs of this and that. It's like, no, read what we're doing. Like, it's not, we're not making any money off of this. Actually, it's just going to be, the money's going to go straight to buying more masks, right? So it's crazy because we did it. We decided to pull the trigger, right? And day one sold 20,000 masks.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's going to be, able to give, thousands and thousands of masks to people out there, that are, struggling to get these, to get these masks. It's such a shortage, right? And so we just have a good connection over in China, and just getting as many as we can and bringing them over, and so that we can, do our part, but using our platform. So, some people who are listening right now, you might have when I say platform, you might only have 3 people in your whole entire world that listen to you. Those are 3 people that you can affect for change, right? You can affect for in a positive way. So, that's how I look at it.
That's awesome, man. So cool. I didn't know that. Talk about a little bit how you got connected with Basketball Maui and with Ben. I put up a throwback picture of you guys. I think it was yesterday. But how many years? You came out here to Maui for a couple years?
It's like, I think 4 years in a row, 4 or 5 actually.
Wow, that's awesome. So how did you get connected with Ben?
That's a good question. After this
Ben
was
knows it.
like this was like 8, 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Wait, 7.
Were you at the first camp?
I was at the second camp.
Okay.
So then that would have been 9 years ago, going on 10, right? Because the 10-year anniversary was last summer.
Yep.
But
Yep.
we had just had another baby. That's actually the last, basically, like the last 4 we've either had another baby or have another baby on the way.
That's been
over
good.
the last like 4 or 5 years. That's the reason why we haven't been able to come, is we either have a really young baby that we can't come because we have a really young baby, or we have a baby that's about to be born like right then. But we're done now. We're done with babies.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Shoot, that's crazy. It's been that long ago. But I'm not even gonna lie to you. I cannot remember how I got connected to Basketball Maui the first time.
What was your
Um,
experience of the camp, and what kind of stood out to you for the times that you were here?
Sorry, it might have actually been Lanny from Active Faith.
Oh,
Actually,
really?
not, but I think he was the one who introduced because Jeremy Lin went to the very first one, correct?
Right.
And yeah, and then I think through that, Jeremy Lin was a big Active Faith guy. I think he might have introduced Active Faith brand to Ben, and then introduced Ben to Lanny, and Lanny asked me about it. So that's kind of how I think that's kind of how the connection happened.
That's
But yeah, man, it was. I mean, obviously we loved it. I mean, Maui's still one of our favorite places in the world. It's the best.
that's awesome. Yeah, I've seen your boy Kent Bazemore. I think was just out here over All-Star break, but
Yeah.
um, he went to ODU in college, and so I went to University of Richmond in Virginia.
Uh
So in
huh.
the summers we used to run pick up at ODU, and I got to know him a little bit. It's been really cool to see him and his career just blossom, man. It's been just so cool, and I think you guys were both a part of that trade. When was it? You guys both got traded, right?
Yeah, yeah. We got traded together to Sacramento.
Yeah, yeah. I've been trying to get him to come to Maui, but he's a great dude, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
he is.
yeah,
We're,
that's
you know,
been
we're still really so. We talked about some of the things that being on teams and different stuff like that. Like, so when you're on a team and you're by yourself and you're the only believer, it can be pretty lonely in some ways, right? What's awesome about Kent is he is a believer, and then once we got to Sacramento, I always I've been friends with Harrison Barnes for a long time, but it's crazy. I went there and I was there for a month before I asked for a buyout. Um, but during that month, me and Harrison and Kent kind of like developed this like bond, right? We always went to chapel together, and then like kind of we had this group chat that we would have just like us three, and we Kent would always send us the chapel after every service, after every chapel service, he'd send us an audio of the chapel, and then just kind of turn into, hey, you hear an inspirational word, send it to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it just like
that's
became
cool.
this whole like thing with us three, and we still do this today, right? Like even
Cool.
now, like anytime I see something that's really dope and I think that they would like, I send it to them and they do the same for us, for the other two. So, um, those are the types of things and types of relationships that build, even short amount of times, these types of, spiritual connections can happen. So,
That's cool, man. Well, I don't want to keep you too long, man, but I appreciate you jumping on and man, just so much good content, man, that we can all take away and just be encouraged by. And so I'll be praying for you and the family, man. Hope you guys stay safe and we'll stay connected, man.
sounds good, man. Appreciate you.
Gotta
Everybody
get
over
back
in
to Maui.
Maui, stay. What'd you say?
We gotta get you back to Maui.
Oh yeah, I was about to say everybody over in Maui stay safe until I'm able to come back. Yeah. So um, yeah. So really quick, there's somebody who just said, "Can you please talk about gaining confidence on the court?"
Yeah,
I know I haven't answered any of these questions, but I do want to answer that one before I go.
right.
So yes, absolutely. I think the best way you can gain confidence on the court is by putting in the work off the court, right? Like, you go into a game. I think the absolute best thing you can do is have so much confidence that you've put in the work. The work breeds confidence. If you don't
Mm,
put in the work, you're going to be nervous. You're going to say, "Oh, I don't know if I can make that shot. I don't know if I can make that shot." And well,
mhm.
if you've done it in practice 100,000 times, you're going to be like, "Well, all I need to do is get the ball, and I'm going to make the shot." And it's just not allowing yourself to go down negative paths. When you do miss a shot, you're thinking, "Oh man, no, I'm not good," or whatever, this and that. Don't allow yourself to even have those types of thought processes. So that's how I would answer that. Jan. I think that's the person's name. So good luck to you, in your future basketball career.
Yeah, I haven't. I forgot to run through these. I don't know if there's any more questions we can answer.
I think that most of them we've kind of answered through because
Yeah.
I've been kind of like paying attention to them here and there.
Okay.
So, but yeah, man. But yeah, that's it, man. Just hope you guys have a good day, and thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna try and save this so you guys that wanna, in case you guys missed it, can go to the Vertical Sports Maui YouTube, and I'll try and put it up there for you guys to replay because there's a lot of good stuff on here, man. So, hey, T, I appreciate you, man. You guys take care.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, bye.